You know, what God does is so funny. Here's mighty Caesar, and right in his household, some of his workers, maybe his valet, maybe his guard was a Christian. I love this. Saints in Caesar's household. There's a story that has come down to us through the years. I suppose that it is rooted in history. Like most stories, it may have changed some, but Caesar had his wrestlers. He had, like today we have the NFL, there were wrestlers in the Greco-Roman world. And Caesar had 40 wrestlers. They were tall, bronze, muscular, sun-crowned men. And they would go into the arena and wrestle for Caesar, who would sit in his velvet box. And they had a little chant, a little song that they would chant to the emperor, and the emperor loved it. They said something like this: "We're 40 wrestlers, wrestling for thee, O emperor, to win for thee the victory, and from thee the victor's crown." The people loved them. They were the most popular athletes in the kingdom. They were also soldiers. And there came a time when an edict went out from Rome that any Christians who were in the army should be excised from the army or executed. And so Vespasian, the Roman general, said to his troops, he made this announcement: "It has come, an edict has come from Rome, that you cannot be a Christian and serve in Caesar's army. So should there be any of you who are Christians, I'm going to ask you to step forward. But know, if you step forward, you will be put to death. If you remain in the ranks, you will have denied your so-called faith in this Messiah." So there it is. If you're a Christian, step forward. Vespasian the general was not prepared for what happened. For like one man, 40 men stepped forward. All 40 of those wrestlers had become Christians, had been born, twice born. When Vespasian saw it and knew that they were the emperor's loved and beloved and chosen, and that everybody in the empire loved them, he said, "Sirs, no. Step back, renounce your faith. We'll forget the whole thing." But not a man moved. They all stood there, all 40 of them. Vespasian hit upon a plan. He said, I know men. I know that they will not follow through. I know how to get them to renounce their faith. So Vespasian, it was in the middle of winter there, and he took all 40 of those men out on a frozen lake and built a bonfire on the thick ice. And then he made those soldiers strip from their bodies their armor, their helmets, their breastplate, their trousers, their shoes, stripped absolutely naked, and said, "Now you're to be driven from this fire out on this frozen lake in the cold. And you will stay out there until you freeze to death. But if you come back to the fire, you will have renounced your faith, and you will live." He knew men. He knew it wouldn't be long before they would be coming back to the fire. He built the fire and he waited. And he heard something that amazed him. He heard these 40 men as they began to chant. And this is what they chanted: "We are 40 wrestlers, wrestling for thee, O Christ, to win for thee the victory, and from thee the victor's crown." Vespasian said, they will turn. They will quit. But he heard that chant as it got weaker and weaker. As the night got colder, these men became numb. 40 wrestlers wrestling for thee, O Christ. 40 wrestlers wrestling for thee, O Christ, to win for thee the victory and from thee the victor's crown. Finally, they could hardly chant. And Vespasian looked through the fire, the light of the fire, and he saw one coming across the ice. one of those soldiers, blue, numb, slithering like an animal across the fire, across the ice, coming back to the fire. Vespasian said, I knew it. I knew it. The others would be coming soon. But then he heard something. The chant picked up. And they began to chant, we are 39 wrestlers wrestling for thee, O Christ, to win for thee the victory, and from thee the victor's crown. And according to the story, Vespasian took from his head his helmet, took from his chest the breastplate, took from his legs the brass, from his feet the shoes, and ran into the snow and the ice and shouted at the top of his voice, we are 40 wrestlers wrestling for thee, O Christ, to win for thee the victory, and from thee the victor's crown. Paul talked about the saints in Caesar's household. The saints in Caesar's household. I don't know about you, but I made up my mind. I'm going to be a wrestler for Jesus Christ. And I want you to be too. Praise God.